Battle through the firmament. Great world. Chapter 417. The competition began. As soon as Old Man Chang finished his words, everyone turned their eyes to the 4 groups in front of them. Next, it was time for these 20 students to show the true strength. Among the crowd, although Zhu Yuan was standing at the back, his gaze was like a sharp sword. When he saw the 5 people from the Yuluo Academy, his gaze instantly fell upon Xiaoyan. This guy. Zhu Yuan raised his eyebrows. He couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Looking at his rough appearance, it gave him a sense of familiarity for a moment, but looking at his aura, it was far from what he had expected. Let's go. Su Jiang looked coldly at Xing Chanyu, who was not far away. He waved his sleeve and led Xiaoyan and the other 3 toward the east of Star Moon Island. Naturally, there was an old man from Star Moon Town leading the way. This kind of competition is exactly what I want. Xing Chanyu smiled coldly. He couldn't help but feel wild joy in his heart. Among the 20 participants, the 5 from the Star Sky Academy were undoubtedly the strongest. If they were to fight one-on-one, they wouldn't be any weaker than anyone else. While thinking, Xing Chanyu also led Shang Hao and the other 3 to the west. Although the rules of the competition were very beneficial to the Star Sky Academy, they still had to give a few warnings just in case. Tang Hong also led Zhou Buyi and the others to the south. A trace of contemplation appeared on his fair and chubby face. In that case, he needed to think about the problem of tactics. Hey, the pretty woman from Glaze Academy looked at Su Jiang, who had left with her charming eyes. Her red lips were slightly raised, then she waved her delicate hand and led Xuan Qingyi and the other girls towards the north. At the end of the line, the girl called Kiara had been under everyone's gaze for such a long time that her face had already turned red. She lowered her head and quickly followed. Teacher, do you know who the 5 students from the Yunlo Academy are participating in? Watching Su Jiang leave with Xiaoyan and the others, Zhu Yuan still had no clue. He turned around and whispered to his teacher. Yunlo Academy. I heard those people mention that one is called Ma Huyang, and the other one is called Lin Dao. I have forgotten the names of the remaining 3. Hearing Zhu Yuan's question, the fat old man scratched his head. After pondering for a moment, he said, there seems to be another person from the Xiao clan. What's his name again? Xiao. When Zhu Yuan heard this word, it was as if a thunderclap had struck his mind. In an instant, he came to a realization. Xiaoyan, it's definitely him. Although he was shocked in his heart, Zhu Yuan's facial expression didn't change at all. He was already very familiar with such a calm attitude. Nodding his head lightly, Zhu Yuan didn't continue to ask. However, a profound look flashed across his eyes and became even more solemn. He still remembered what happened in Forest Domain. He was saved by his teacher's best friend, Old Monster Wu, and then he was brought to the Profound Extreme sect in the Star Domain. He became the disciple of the second elder of the Profound Extreme sect, Zhu Mo, who was also his teacher now. Given Zhu Yuan's disposition, he naturally accepted reality easily. Under Zhu Mo's guidance, his cultivation speed rose steadily like a rocket. However, in just 5 years, he had become the #1 disciple of the Profound Extreme sect, and had also attracted the attention of all the higher-ups of the sect. At that moment, the cultivation resources were endless, and all kinds of natural treasures and medicine pills were rewarded. He had finally reached the Monarch Emperor 2 years ago, and now, Zhu Yuan's strength had steadily reached the 6th Monarch Emperor. He relied on the vigorous origin key in his body and his profound mentality. Even the old Monarch Emperor level expert in the sect was no match for him. I have been nurtured by the entire Profound Extreme sect to reach this stage. This Xiaoyan, just by entering the academy, already has the strength of a Monarch Emperor. Narrowing his eyes, Zhu Yuan remained silent and followed Zhu Mo out of this place. The rules of this competition are very unfavorable to you, but your luck isn't too bad. On the way, Su Jiang quickly analyzed the rules of this competition. Your way up the mountain. On the Eastern Island, the Star Sky Academy was located in the Eastern Island. The possibility of fighting on the West Island isn't high. You need to be careful of the Glaze Academy and the Southern Sky Academy. Xiaoyan and the rest nodded silently. They had a slight understanding of the experts of these two academies. You can decide the order of the battle in the arena at that time. Also, try your best to find the battle command. Only then can you take the initiative. Slapping his head, Su Jiang finally sighed. He didn't know how to explain the long speech that he had wanted to say, but he had to look at the actual situation. Along the way, there was no one talking. The old man from Star Moon Town who led the way kept smiling and didn't interrupt. After about an hour, they finally arrived at a plain. There was a flag stuck in a certain spot on the plain. It was the gathering point of the students. After bringing them to the place where the flag was planted, the old man suddenly turned around and said, "Lord Jiang said, I'll tell you these things after I bring you there. On this island, there are many dangerous places on this island. You students must be careful during the competition. Try your best to leave if you encounter any strange places, or if something happens, there's nothing he can do about it." Hearing the old man's words, the few of them looked at each other. They hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. All they could do on this strange island was to listen to these people's words. The old man finished speaking. He stood in his original spot and did not say anything. Su Jiang was unable to say anything when he saw this. The few of them waited quietly. After a long time, the old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the starlight that suddenly appeared in the sky. He nodded at Xiaoyan and the others and said, "Everyone, the competition begins now. I wish you all good luck." Xiaoyan and the others were slightly stunned when they heard this. Then they looked at Su Jiang. The latter frowned and took a deep breath. "Go. This time, the Yunlo Academy will depend on you all." "I think so too." Mahuyang laughed. His body moved, and he had already rushed towards the distant mountain forest. Being able to exchange blows with the geniuses of the various academies was exactly what he wished for. Lin Dao and Mahuyang rushed out almost at the same time. The thoughts of the latter were reflected even more strongly on his body. "I say, it's best if you don't have too much hope." Zhu Tianhou smiled bitterly. These few days, he had also seen the geniuses of various academies. Because of this, his confidence in his own strength of 3 Monarch Emperor warriors was clearly much lower. As long as you do your best. At this point, no matter how much he preached, it was useless. Su Jiang pursed his lips and said in a deep voice, "All right." Xiaoyan laughed lightly. He and Wu Shaoqi followed Mahuyang, one after the other. Behind them, Zhu Tianhou didn't slow down at all. In the blink of an eye, the 5 of them had already disappeared into the dense forest. "Elder Su, let's go. Lord Jiang has said that all the leaders and elders of the various powers have to wait at the peak of the mountain." After the 5 of them disappeared, the old man turned to Su Jiang and said kindly, "Thank you for your help." Su Jiang let out a long sigh. He looked at the forest where the 5 of them had disappeared and silently followed the old man. At the same time, in the 4 directions of Star Moon Island, the students of the other academies were all rushing towards the dense forest at the foot of the mountain as starlight flashed across the sky. At this moment, the curtains of the 4 academies' competition were drawn. On the plains where the 4 academies had left, Old Man Chang clenched his fist in the air. The flickering starlight on the horizon finally dissipated. He glanced at everyone present. The former gently smiled, and his slow and steady voice resounded in everyone's ears. "Everyone, please move to the summit. In 2 months, we will be able to see the most exciting competition." Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.